first respondent in this matter. He is clothed with the powers to deploy armed forces. And as I've said before, he knows whether he deployed or not. And if he did not, then an inquiry was supposed to be made by his office on who did it. Third, there was a problem of the composition of the Commission of Inquiry. And in particular, I want to deal with two individuals, the two professors from the university. The first professor is Professor Lovemore Maduku. We have absolutely nothing against him. We know that he was a presidential candidate in the election. And the people spoke in that regard. And as you know, the people spoke overwhelmingly in favor of our president. But that is not the problem that we have with Dr. Maduku or Professor Maduku. The problem with Professor Maduku is that immediately after the 1st of August shootings, Dr. Maduku was interviewed by the ZBC. And on camera, Dr. Maduku blamed the violence on the MDC. So he made his conclusion already. How can a person who has already made his conclusion, who has already made his judgment, be asked to investigate the matter? It is taking things upside down. What starts first are investigations, and a hearing, and a judgment. Professor Maduku made a judgment condemning the MDC, and in particular, casting aspersions against the people, the leadership of the MDC. So he was not a fair person. Professor Manyeruke was clearly linked with the ZANU-PF campaign, and in particular, features in one or two election advertisements of ZANU-PF. She is a card-carrying official of ZANU-PF. And in particular, she expressed the opinion before her appointment about who caused the disturbances of the 1st of August. For that reason, it was irresponsible for us to appear before a committee with that composition. And they say at law, if a law be unjust, unfair, and unconscionable, responsible citizens have a positive duty to disobey it. The terms of the reference, which is another problem, of the commission were presumptive, and they sought to portray the action of the armed forces as having been justified. So they were presumptive. Now we want to go to the history of violence. For us to judge the situation, for us to judge the various people involved, we must look at the evidence, the historical evidence of these people. While we cannot judge President Mnangagwa by what he is going to do or what he is promising, because that will be unfair to him, we can certainly judge President Mnangagwa, Vice President Chiwenga, Vice President Mohadi by their history, and it is a fair judgment. We can therefore, in the same vein, judge ZANU-PF by its history. We can therefore judge the state apparatus by their history. It is common cause that in this country after independence we had Gukura Hundi. MDC was not there. We also know that in 1985, President Mugabe, Prime Minister then, issued the infamous statement, Gobora Ezvigutswa, by which he described the political opponents as stumps in 1985. We also know that in the election that came after the Unity Accord, which was conducted by the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, their organizing secretary and candidate for Gweru, Patrick Kombai, was shot, and was shot by state agents. We all know that. We also know that we in the MDC suffered a lot of casualties. Tichawana Chimina, Talent Mabika, Godfrey Kauzani, Beka Chokururama, Tondera Indira, all were murdered by the state. And as evidence, historical evidence shows, this was state-sponsored violence. We also know that our president here was battered at the airport in public by officers of the state. We also know the infamous attack on Morgan Changirai during a prayer meeting in Machipisa in Highfield. We also know that Itai Zamara disappeared. We also know of the attempts that have been made to abduct various officers of the MDC, including the chief officer himself. We all know that. Now, therefore, what is happening here is a question of deja vu. What happened before? We all know the murder of Gift Tandare and so on. Now, let's go to the events of the 1st of August 2018. What is common cause is that the police was present the night before. What is common cause is that armed groups, the state groups were moving around the street. What is common cause is that the military was deployed by whoever. What is common cause? What is clear and undisputed is that people were shot at. What is common cause is that the people who shot were seen on camera. What is common cause is that the MDC does not possess anything that can cause the injuries that happened. What is common cause is 6 innocent Zimbabweans were murdered in cold blood. And one graphic illustration of this sadism is the shooting of this woman in the middle of her bra through the back. There is no better cowardice, better illustration of cowardice than that. What is common cause is that there was a soldier who was shooting in the public. And what is common cause is that he adopted a kneeling posture. And what is common cause is that he certainly was not shooting at 45 degrees. This is what is common cause. What is common cause further is that the MDC in this house, in this headquarters, was involved in parallel voter tabulation. Our election agents, as well as our members of the election directorate, were busy tabulating the votes. We now know, and it is on record, that the state, through the police, came and confiscated the computers so as to disable us from parallel voter tabulation. Fortunately, we had a backup situation. What is common cause is that our staff was arrested, was tortured, and was detained without justification. What is common cause is that there was a predetermination to decimate the MDC. This is exactly what happened. And the international community was there, and everybody who cared to see was there. We want to go to the issue of the so-called vanguard. We want to draw your attention to the statements that we issued before the elections. In fact, the statements that were issued as far back as March 2018. But no single tomato was stolen. No single shop was looted. No single person was beaten. We then had demonstrations in Bulawayo, well attended. We had demonstrations in Mutare, well attended. No single person was harmed.
We're extremely concerned with the attitude of the state institutions, particularly our army, particularly our police, that they view the MDC, a key national state actor, as an opponent. We do not seek to replace the army. We do not seek to replace the police. We do not seek to replace the CIO. We seek to replace those who are at the top, who are abusing these institutions, because that is what the Constitution asks us to do. So to call us a terrorist party, a terrorist organization, where have you seen a terrorist with the headquarters along the same road as the Parliament of Zimbabwe? Where have you seen a terrorist organization? And even ZEC, including ZANU-PF headquarters. Where have you seen a terrorist organization that would use placards to engage the government instead of using arms of war? We use placards because we believe in the democratic tools, such as demonstrations. Where have you seen a violent party that believes in rallies as a way of dealing with the government? We go to rallies because those are democratic tools. We are not like ISIS or Al-Shabaab or Boko Haram, who had headquarters in the mountains. We have our headquarters at this house because we believe in democracy. Because we believe that to remove a government that is not performing, we must go to an election. And we've won elections. They've refused to give in. to the will of the people. And that's why we are in the situation we currently find ourselves in. So I just thought I needed to put into context the aspect that we are not a prohibited organization. We are represented in parliament. In fact, we are the government and local government. We are the government in parliament. We are even the government in this country because we were voted by the people. And that has to be understood. That has to be understood because in as much as Mr. Mnangagwa is saying he's the one who is declared, but we are there because for you to be declared, there has to be a contestant. The contestant is there. So we are part of the matrix of a government. And in that context, you can't try to bastardize or criminalize a party. This has happened before. It happened to Joshua Nkomo. It happened to Ndabani Stone. It happened to even my brother in Christ, the Reverend Bishop Abu Mzorewa, who was arrested when he wanted to go to Israel to pray in 1982. Charges were drawn against him. So it's not something new. They've done it to President Tsvangirai. You know the Ben Manashe case. You know what they did. I think Mr. Mzorewa represented this guy, Mzorewa, you know, during that time. Now you see where we are. They are trying to do it at Morgan Tsvangirai on Chamisa. It will not work. Even if they take us to jail, they cannot jail the wills of the people. Yes. Even if they arrest us, they will not be able to arrest the problems affecting this country. Because problems are not solved by vindictiveness. Yes. Problems are not solved by revenge. Problems are not solved by a way of wanting to pursue the path of vengeance. They have searched the Harvest House ever since this party was formed for arms of war. The only arm they have found is the arm of love and peace. They've never found anything here. We believe in our open palms, not in all these things that they believe in. And we've said, look, even if it is going to take us a very long period of time, our visionary, Mr. Tsvangirai, said that we must always use democratic means even to fight undemocratic governments. And this is what we are pursuing. And we make no mistake. This whole thing, Chamisa, has incited violence. How does giving an insight to a population amount to insight? Incitement of violence. How do you say that? You also want to say because you contested and defeated him in an election, I must punish you. And if you look at all the witnesses, Mr. Monzo, not a single citizen had an issue against Mr. Chamisa. Oh, yes. But you would find that it is some in the state who are obviously working on a scripted, choreographed narrative to try and say we want Mr. Chamisa to come. How does Matanga speak about incitement and then says Mr. Chamisa has been given a position, so we are waiting? Why should law enforcement be subject to some of those vicissitudes of political consideration? Why? But it shows you that there are issues to nudge me into a forced arrangement, into a forced marriage, into a rape. You know, I want love, I don't want rape. You know, and this is why we've said we want political dialogue in this country. Not this whole thing of trying to force us and do also. We have said to Mr. Mnangagwa, here are the issues. Let's resolve the issues that are on the table. And we've raised those 5 issues. We are ready anytime to engage anybody, including Mr. Mnangagwa, to resolve these issues. Because people are suffering. And we want answers. We have those answers. We have the answer sheet. They have the problems and the questions. And we want them to also be able to interact with us so that we articulate the way forward. So yes, we are very clear and we are ready for whatever eventually. Some of us are ready for whatever is going to take us. Because you cannot defeat the truth. That you cannot replace the reality. The reality is that we have been given the mandate by the people. That's why you see our rallies across the whole country. They show one thing, that we are a people's party. And we shall remain so. We shall not betray the people. No amount of skullduggery, machinations, chicanery, or hallucinations are going to move us from the position that we have taken. So thank you very much, Secretary General. You provoked me to say something I didn't want to say. I must give you credit for that provocation. Because it's a positive provocation. Thank you very much. So yes, any questions? We thought that we needed to give you our briefing on these things. I'm told, you said there's a letter that has come. I said, Secretary General, read it. I'm too charged to read that letter, so please read it and interpret it to me. So he read it to me. It's very clear that they are saying, Mr. Chamisa, your name has been mentioned, so I want to hear from you about your role that you played on the 1st of August. Can you imagine? I actually didn't know about the 1st of August event I only heard about it from some other person who actually called me, and I will mention at the appropriate time. That's what I first knew about it. MDC does not organize those tiny little ad hoc demonstrations. We are not an ad hoc party. We are not a red organization. We are an elephant organization. Yeah. When you organize things, we organize elephant things. Elephant demonstration. Not these funny things that you say and we know what they did. Because under a drunken stupor, they start saying things, those people. Some person was saying to Mr. Komich, yeah, we're in charge of what happened on the 1st of August. We are ejected. Huh? And you are in government. You want to tell us that you are clever than all of us. People saw what happened. Now, what they don't know is that we have a footage of whatever happened in the city. And we want that footage to be honored and respected. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
My name is Torisa.
Police.
Just maybe to get a clarity from what the SG said, his last line. You said that you have set some conditions. And in his last line, he makes an innuendo to say if Chamisa is to appear before the commission, what happens to John ought also to happen to the other.
Wow.
Are you suggesting that probably you have set a condition, say all those that have been named in the commission of inquiry, like the vice president, the president himself?
We are very clear. Those names that have been mentioned, whether by mistake, by malice, or by anything, in as much as we doubt and question the credibility of the commission, we still feel that if they are to be fair, what is good for the goose must be good for the and they must be able to invite Mr. Mnangagwa, they must be able to invite Mr. Chiwenga, they must be able to invite Mr. Kembo Mahadi, they must be able, and that's why we have said there's folly in that kind of a commission. Because you can't invite Mnangagwa so that you report to him. Mnangagwa can't investigate himself. He has been implicated. Because if he has been asked to say he was written a letter but there was no instruction that came from him to say that let there be deployment or whatever, then he must actually come and explain that position. Because that is the most crucial matter. That is the nerve and the crux of the matter, as we say at law. And that is the matter that has to be questioned and interrogated. So yes, we would want to see also if Mnangagwa is going to go there. If he's not going to go there, why should I go alone? You know, we want everyone to go because I have nothing. I have clean hands. I have not done anything. In fact, you know, every statement I have said is.